Welcome everyone to the Thursday edition of Fair Territory. I'm Ken Rosenthal here with Alanna Rizzo. Alanna, good to be with you. And on this Thursday, we're still about 7 weeks away from the trade deadline, and yet, things are starting to develop. Slowly but surely, they're starting to develop.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Ken. It's good to be with you also, but it seems like it's coming from a player perspective, a player request versus a team situation. What more can you tell us about Aaron Civale and the Milwaukee Brewers?
Well, this is the first thing we have to discuss today, and it's rather interesting. So the Brewers, of all teams, seem to have something of a starting pitching surplus. And
Hmm.
today, their top prospect, Jacob Misiorowski, is coming up to make his major league debut tonight at home against the St. Louis Cardinals. And because the Brewers want to add Misiorowski to their rotation, they are moving Aaron Civale to the bullpen. They gave him that news yesterday, and at that time, Aaron Civale was not happy, as his manager Pat Murphy said, and his agent Jack Toffey requested a trade through Brewers general manager Matt Arnold. I have a story up with Will Salmon about this particular situation right now, and you can understand Civale in his free agent year not wanting to go to the bullpen where he has never pitched except one time in relief last year during the wild card series against the Mets. That's his only career relief appearance, 122 career regular season starts. And at the same time, the Brewers, though, they have this abundance of starters and starting options. I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about because it's rather interesting to see a team like the Brewers in this position, especially when they started the season with Elvin Rodriguez making their home opener debut start because they had no other options. They were injury left and right. And here they are right now looking pretty good. Freddie Peralta, Jose Quintana, Jad Patrick, Quinn Priester, who has been piggybacking with DL Hall at times, and Jacob Misiorowski joining the rotation tonight. That's their current five. Logan Henderson, that dude had a 1.7 ERA in his first four major league starts, gets sent to the minors. That's where he is now, along with Tobias Myers, who has not been that good this year, but last year was a stalwart in that rotation. And then on the injured list, you have Nestor Cortez Jr. and Brandon Woodruff working their ways back from injuries. Nowhere among those 9 names do you see Aaron Civale because he has been sent to the bullpen. But in Civale's case, it doesn't seem like he has a clear path necessarily back to the rotation. So he's making $8 million this season. The Brewers almost always want to trade guys making money, especially when they're not playing a significant role. He's requested a trade. There are teams clearly in need of starting pitching. We will see what this leads to in the weeks and days ahead.
Ken, do you think that the Brewers will respond in kind with a trade? And I also feel like oftentimes when players or their agents are asking for a trade, that's something that happens more in the NFL or the NBA. It's rare when you hear a Major League Baseball player request a trade or through his agent or whatever. Do you think that this will happen more often if players are unsatisfied or dissatisfied with what's going on? And do you think the Brewers will allow this to happen?
It's a good point, Alana, and it probably happens more often than we know. We got a tip on this morning. I confirmed it with the agent, and we wrote a story. So in this case, yes, it happened. It pretty clearly happened for a very specific reason. This guy does not want to pitch in the bullpen as he becomes a free agent, right? But I would imagine that from time to time, this does happen throughout the game. There's no question about that. Now, to the question of whether they will accommodate him, I believe the answer to that is yes, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime before the deadline. And the question will be, okay, which team is going to want to take the balance of his salary? Which team will want the Brewers to chip in? Will some team take all of it? That's always going to be the question with these kinds of things. But as for the Brewers' desire, I would imagine, as I said in the opening of this segment, sure they want to do it. They want to get rid of the rest of that money and
Mhm.
either save it for themselves or use it for other things. So, yeah, I would expect this to take place. I just don't know how quickly.
Well, there's certainly a lot of teams that could use starting arm help. So we will certainly see Aaron Civale in another uniform likely sooner rather than later. One guy, Ken, that is a starter, and it seems like he's rounding back to who he used to be, is Sandy Alcántara. You just wrote a piece about him. What have you seen from him that leads you to believe that he's on his way back?
Right. Well, I wrote this with Saris, and we published it this morning as the top of our notes column. And it's interesting. His last two starts, Alcántaras, have been against Colorado and Pittsburgh, two worst offenses in the major leagues. So the fact that Sandy Alcántara produced back-to-back quality starts against those teams, you might say, nah, big deal. It's the Rockies, it's the Pirates. But I talked with his manager, Clayton McCullough of the Marlins, and I talked with a scout who was at the Pittsburgh game the other night. And the scout, a rival official from another team, obviously, if he's a rival, he said that he thought Alcantara was so good that he was about 3 or 4 starts away from being the Sandy of old. And McCullough echoed those sentiments. McCullough basically said that early in the season, Sandy Alcantara had command issues. Command issues not uncommon to pitchers coming off Tommy John surgery, which he had in October of 2023. And now you're starting to see Alcantara with his 5-pitch repertoire kind of place things a little bit better than he was before. And he's missing less. His catcher's glove is moving less. It's a command situation that is improving. This guy, as I said, has 5 pitches. He's throwing his fastball 99. The velocity, the shapes have not been an issue. The issue has been getting it in and around the zone. He seems to be doing that better. And Clayton McCullough made the point to me, yeah, it's the Pirates and the Rockies, and I get the skepticism. That's what he said. But it's the quality of his throws. That's the phrase he used. The quality of his throws that looked much improved. Alcantara's next start is against the Phillies. That's going to be interesting. A better offense, obviously, the one that is not exactly red hot right now, and it's missing Bryce Harper, but it's a more competitive group, no question. And we'll see how he does there. I've seen in recent days reports saying, the Marlins probably will just hold this guy. Well, hold on. We've got 7 weeks until the deadline. We've got potentially 8 starts or so for Alcantara in that time. If he can get it back in 3 or 4 starts, as that rival official said, get back to where he was, the old Sandy, the Marlins are going to entertain offers. That's what they do. And I would expect that, again, as expected earlier in the year, Sandy Alcántara would be the belle of the ball at the trade deadline. Hasn't happened yet. We're not there yet. But there are signs of progress here, and it's notable.
Yeah, he was so good to watch a couple of years ago. It'd be great to see him get back to that form, one of the good ones in the game. And Clayton McCullough went on to say, Ken, as he talked to you, of course, that he's finishing his pitches more and the quality of the throws are there. All right, Jackson Jobe, unfortunately, Ken Rosenthal, another one on the shelf for the Detroit Tigers. Looks like he needs Tommy John surgery. You hate to see it with any pitcher. It seems like an epidemic. How will the Tigers respond to this?
It is an epidemic. There's no question about it, Alana. And we talk about it every week. It was Corbin Burns last week. It's Jackson Jobe this week. And it's just an endlessly disturbing pattern for the entire sport. As for the Tigers, they're in relatively decent shape. Of course, they've got Skubal and Flaherty at the top of the rotation. They also have Casey Mize. They've got Cader Montero. And they've got some pitchers coming back. Sawyer Gipson-Long is now back from his own elbow surgery. He's made a couple of appearances, 1 start. And on the IL, Reese Olson, who's working his way back from a finger injury, Alex Cobb, who I love, but is seemingly always hurt. And then there's Jose Urquidy, who could be a factor in the second half. So you ask, are the Tigers going to pursue a starting pitcher at the deadline? I would expect that the answer to that is yes, even if those pitchers come back healthy. Because imagine if they got a quality mid-rotation starter who could maybe start a playoff game along with Skubal and Flaherty. Then you've really got something. Now, you may have that internally as well. And the Tigers have other needs. They need another right-handed bat, even if Matt Vierling gets back. Someone preferably left side of the infield, maybe an outfielder as well, but really a left side infielder, a shortstop, or third baseman. They can mix and match so well. They have so many versatile players. I'm not sure the position matters all that much, whether it's infield or outfield, but they'll be looking. And Scott Harris, their GM, has been talking publicly on a radio station in Detroit about the fact that they are going to seek to upgrade this team. This team has earned as much. So it's going to be really interesting to see where the Tigers go at the deadline. Do they look to add in every area? Offense, rotation, bullpen? We'll see.
Does Civale make sense? He's looking for a job.
Yeah, he is. He's looking for a starting job. He might make sense, but if you're the Tigers, you also might say, you know what? I don't want to acquire Aaron Civale and take whatever percentage of his remaining salary I would take now when other options will become available. Sandy Alcántara might be one of those options. There might be other pitchers of high caliber. Zach Eflin, who is a guy that you would like to have, I would think, from a rotation standpoint. Hey, the Diamondbacks. Now, they just swept the Mariners, but they've got Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. They're a 500 team right now. Who knows where their season's going with all their injuries? Martinez as well as Burns now. So other options are going to become available, and that's why it's going to be difficult for the Brewers to trade Civale right now when teams will be looking to assess these other possibilities.
Is this something that the Brewers could take a portion of the contract, Ken, and the new team would have to take a portion? Or do the Brewers have to eat the entire thing, or does the new team have to eat the entire thing?
A lot of that is subject to negotiation. And certainly the Brewers would want the new team to take the balance. And at this point, we're still looking at over $4 million. At the deadline, it would be less than that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that another team would want to take all of it. And if that team does take all of it, they're going to tell the Brewers, well, you're getting a lesser prospect. So if the Brewers take more money, they get a better prospect. That's how these things work, the sliding scale. So it's going to be, again, really interesting to see how this all plays out against the backdrop of the potential for all these other starters to become available.
Yeah, anything for a price. We'll see what's happening in the next couple of weeks, about 7 weeks away from the deadline. Much more to come on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. We will be Grillin Ken when we come back after this break.
Pat, you look different today. Do I see Chubby's shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted, too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
Little blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you missed the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here, dress like it in Chubby's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Grillin Ken. In addition to taking some of the questions from our YouTube chat, which we certainly will do, we're also taking questions from ChatbCC. It's a free chat app where you can kind of talk with us almost like a texting thread. Go to foulterritory.chat, again, totally free, and join the conversation. And I actually love the first question, Ken, from ChatbCC. It comes from Martha Brennan. When Bregman, meaning Alex Bregman, comes back, what's the best case scenario in which the three kids stay up? That's obviously Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and I'm assuming Christian Campbell, and Duran doesn't get traded.
I don't know how that's possible, honestly, because you have Campbell at second base, Meyer at third base, playing Bregman's position, and Roman Anthony in the outfield. And Jarren Duran, of course, is an outfielder as well. Now, the one thing you could do would be, I guess, to bench Trevor Story, play Meyer at short, but you don't want to do that. Trevor Story is starting to play better.
Up. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is. And Trevor Story is a guy who's a really good defender, and you cannot win with all kids. You need some veterans. Trevor Story is certainly a veteran. So it seems to me that when Bregman gets back, or even when Wilyer Abreu gets back, Craig Breslow, as president of baseball operations, is going to have to really take a look at this roster and maybe do something to be creative. And I'm talking about possibly a trade. Now, I don't know if it's Duran. I don't know if it's Abreu. I don't know exactly how you do this, because all of these players we're talking about are guys you want on your team. Duran is a dynamic player, top 10 MVP last year, All-Star Game MVP. He does so many things well. And then you have also Wilyer Abreu, who is relatively inexpensive, a really good player in his own right. I'm not sure how they're going to piece this all together, if they're going to keep everyone in the big leagues like the person suggested and then have Bregman and Duran as well. It's going to be a challenge, but the kind of challenge any team should welcome. Too many good players is never a problem.
Yeah, and it's a good problem to have if you want to call it a problem. Thank you for that question. We appreciate that, Martha. The next one comes from Jack Siciliano. How would you rank these three in terms of defense in center field? PCA, which is Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs, Denzel Clark, and Cedar Rafaela of the Boston Red Sox. And you have another one, Ken, to add to this question.
Julio Rodriguez is the other one who, if you look at defensive runs saved and outs above average, he is right there with those guys. A little bit of a different order in the two leading public metrics, but all four of those guys are in there in one order or another. Now, here's the amazing part, and here's why I would take Denzel Clark. Look at the defensive runs saved here and look at the innings. And again, outs above average is not much different than this, but the difference is Clark has barely played compared to these other guys, and he's right there with them in defensive runs saved. So I think I would take Denzel Clark, and I'd be pretty happy about it, though I will say this. Watching Pete Crow Armstrong and Rafaela and even Julio in center field, it's a joy.
Yeah, it's been fun. I loved watching the game with the Athletics, and Jenny Kavnar and Dallas Braden were on the call, and just listening to the excitement, obviously, when Clark was making some of those catches. All right, the third one here from ChatbCC is from Alicia Edgar. Might be Alicia, I'm not sure, but thanks for being a part of the conversation. Will getting the core starting pitchers back for the Dodgers level them up enough? I care about this question a lot.
Alanna, I'll have you take it away first then. Go ahead.
I do think it's going to help, right? I mean, you basically have a bullpen game on Tuesday. You had Justin Robleski, and then, young guys pitching on Wednesday for the Dodgers. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to help when you get Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, perhaps Shohei Ohtani before the All-Star break, which I'm not a huge fan of, unless he's completely healthy. Yeah, of course, I think it's going to level them up. When you have $102 million of your payroll on the IL, I think it can only help. But you, my friend, are a future Hall of Famer and the analyst, so you take this.
Alicia, I'm going to answer it like this. Are they going to get these pitchers back?
Yeah.
That's all well and good. We're hearing of Blake Snell throwing again, and Glasnow, and Gonsolin will be back, and Shohei's coming. The whole point of this team, the whole plan this year, is to put the best possible roster together for October. My question has been, and will be until I see it proven otherwise, will everyone be in sync at that time? Or are some of these guys going to come back and get injured again? Or will other pitchers get injured? What are they going to look like October 1st? That's the whole goal of the season, to be ready for the postseason. And I understand it. I understand what the Dodgers are doing, and I understand that over the years they've taken chances on pitchers with injury histories because they want their excellence. Well, you got to get these guys healthy at some point. At some point, it is go time. Now, we're not even close to there yet, but my concern is, will these guys, or enough of them, be healthy at the same time come the postseason?
Yeah, and my concern as well, Ken, that is a good one that you have, is the bullpen being absolutely blown out, because the starters that they have right now are not going deep into the ball game. I mean, I did not have on my bingo card in the series against the Padres, the first time that the Dodgers saw them was going to be Dustin May, TBD, and it ended up being Ben Kasparius. Not what I thought as far as starting pitchers for the Dodgers against the Padres for that first series. Okay, another question here, this one from our YouTube chat from Mike G. Grillin Ken. Which starting pitcher could you see the Cubs zeroing in on most for an aggressive pursuit?
I don't know which one I would say most, but all of those pitchers I mentioned earlier, Gallen, Kelly, if they become available from the Diamondbacks, Eflin and Shigano from the Orioles, if they become available, as I expect they will, and Alcántara, if he is a factor here, if he becomes someone that teams are going to want again, I would expect they're going to aim high. They're going to look at that group and maybe some others as well. I might be missing a few here and there. But if you're the Cubs and you've got this opportunity, you've got Imanaga coming back. Boyd has pitched very well. Taillon has pitched very well. You're hopefully going to get Assad back at some point as well. You're going for it. You want more. You want to have the best possible rotation you can put together without Justin Steele, who's out for the year. So I would expect that they're going to play at the high end of the starting pitchers that are available.
What a bummer if Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly get traded. I mean, that they were so good for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I wanted the Diamondbacks to be better this year. I know obviously losing Corbin Burns is tough. All right, and last question here from our YouTube chat comes from John Shank. Thanks, John, for being a part of the show here with Ken and I. Is it time to hit the panic button for the Cardinals after getting swept by the Blue Jays?
John, respectfully, 3 games means nothing. If you look at the Diamondbacks in the past 9 days, they've swept a team, they've been swept, and then they swept the Mariners to have their third series in a row of sweeps. It's just too small a window to look at, especially when the Cardinals have played as well as they have all season. Now, if in the next 7 weeks they stumble and fall out of contention, yes, different story. Then you trade some of your potential free agents and look to do some things creatively. But I'm not giving up on the Cardinals just yet. The Jays are really hot right now. The Jays are playing like we've hoped they would play for, I don't know, a couple of years. So good for them. And it seems to me the Cardinals just ran into a really good opponent.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's nice to see the Jays playing up to their capabilities. As you mentioned, we have been waiting this for quite some time. All right, Dude and Dork of the Week is next, right after a quick break.
I just want to say, before Arena Club, if you were trying to very actively buy, sell, trade, it was very complicated and used a lot of mail that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to do it. But I'm glad we have Arena Club now because it's a one-stop shop for everything card-related.
It is. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL. If you're a collector, you've got to check out Arena Club. Go get after it.
BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM's Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Visit the BetMGM app to access the game, and you'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. Strikeout? No problem. Try again tomorrow. Gambling problem or concern? There is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dude.
Ken, I don't think you were really going out on a limb with your Dude of the Week, but I can understand why you picked him. Who is it?
It's Denzel Clark. And it's Denzel Clark for that amazing catch that he made. And here's the thing that amazed me the most. Obviously, he caught the ball, looked like Spider-Man or Elastic Man, as Torrey Hunter said. But the fact that he didn't spill over the wall is incredible to me. To have the athleticism, the body control, to not go completely over. He kind of braced himself with his right hand. That was amazing. He is my Dude of the Week, and there wasn't much question in my mind.
I mean, my goodness, it gives me chills watching it, and I've watched it like 38 times, but the core strength that young man must have in his pectoral muscles and his abdominal muscles is ridiculous to make sure he didn't go over the wall. I would have flipped. First of all, I wouldn't have been able to get up that high vertically, but I certainly would have flown over the wall and probably broken my neck. So God bless him for his athleticism and his core strength. All right, mine is a dog. I mean, honestly, is anybody surprised? Of course, Bruce the Bat Dog is on his way to the majors after being called up by the Washington Nationals from the Rochester Red Wings. Listen, don't think that these guys, these little puppers, don't try to, get their workouts in and they eat great and they want to call their mom and dad when they get called up too. So congratulations to this sweetheart. He got called up to the big leagues. I love this. All the Bat Dogs and Goldens, by the way, are sweet, 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 sweet jobs. All right, time now for our John Fisher Dork of the Week. Well, Ken, the San Diego Padres didn't learn, and it appears that the St. Louis Cardinals took a page out of the Padres book. They're your Dorks of the Week for a certain reason. Why?
Well, what do we hear all the time from the Cardinals and their fans? They play a beautiful brand of baseball. They're all about
Cardinal
old
way.
school, best fans in baseball, Cardinal way. They're a class above the rest of the sport. Well, not this week when they trolled Clayton Kershaw by showing Matt Adams' home run from the 2014 NLDS. We're living on a moment from 11 years ago and insulting a guy who was going to the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. That is a lack of class. It's not cool. And Cardinals Dorks of the Week for that. And you might say, it's all in good fun. No, not when you present yourself or yourselves as this distinctive franchise. No, you acted like punks. Dorks
And not for nothing, 11 years ago. Get over yourself. 11 years ago. Matt Carpenter has retired. Clayton Kershaw's still performing, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. So stop it. All right. My dork of the week, the Atlanta Braves, for calling up Craig Kimbrell for basically an inning and then DFAing him the next day. What are we doing? I mean, this is a guy that arguably could be in the Hall of Fame too as a closer. I mean, he's had an unbelievable career. He's certainly on the back nine, will probably retire soon if he can't get another job. But what is the point of that? I mean, to me, that is so disrespectful to a veteran player to do that. I don't understand that.
There were reasons for it. He didn't perform great. They were short in their bullpen, and even if he had pitched the next day, they were going to have to DFA him. That would have been 3 days out of 4. But it wasn't a great look. And I spoke with James McCann, the veteran catcher who's at AAA right now, and he said some of the players were frustrated by that. They didn't like seeing that. At the same time, Kimbrell caught on, signed a minor league deal with the Rangers. We'll see if he can get back and make a contribution. But his velo was not great that day, as McCann pointed out, maybe because he flew cross country. So we'll see. But you're right, Alana. Was it a great look for the Braves? Was it something that reflected well on them? No.
No, optically, it did not look good. Craig Kimbrell deserves a little bit better. All right, for now, we're going to say goodbye to our great friends over at Nesson Sportsnet Pittsburgh and Nesson Nation. We appreciate you being here. We say goodbye for now. We'll see you next time. All right. For those of you still with us, we appreciate that very much. Ken, I know that you have a game coming up this weekend, very similar to the game that you had last weekend. But before that, The Athletic came out with a survey about, it's an anonymous survey. All of the sports do this. Was there anything from those results that surprised you at all from this anonymous survey that they put out?
Nothing that surprised me terribly. I always enjoy reading it. Those anonymous player polls in each sport that The Athletic does are quite entertaining. The one thing that struck me a little bit was Andy McCullough's story on how players were talking about the biggest misconceptions about travel and missing family events, and the reaction of fans in the comments, which was predictable. You guys are making all this money, shut up. I get it, and I understand why a fan would think that way. We all grow up wanting to be big league ball players or professional athletes in some other sport, and we think they have the best life, and they do. But keep in mind, their careers only go so long. Not all players are making a gazillion dollars. Now, granted, the minimum in baseball is $765, but there are very few who even get to that on a consistent level. So on top of that, they do have challenges, and the challenges include being away from your family for 8 months a year, maybe even 9 months a year. You might say, well, they get the 3 months off. Yes, but it's not easy. And people who live this, who go through it, it is hard on them. It's a special challenge. Now, again, we all want to be those guys. I get it. But at the same time, a little empathy from people at times wouldn't hurt, and a little bit of understanding that these guys also go through things in their jobs, which is what this is, job, that can be trying on a personal level. And there's nothing wrong with understanding that, because at times it does affect guys in ways that we don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, they're not immune to family members getting sick or all of the things that we all deal with. And people forget that these guys are people before they're professional athletes and players. So keep that in mind. 63% of players, Ken, are against robo-umps, which actually surprised me a little bit. I thought it would be less than that. Now, let's keep in mind, too, it's not going to be a 100% full ABS system. But did this surprise you at all that many people are opposed to robo-umps?
Well, first of all, players are basically opposed to anything manager suggests. So that's kind of where this is coming from in part. Each side, if one has an idea, the other says, no, we don't like that, almost reflexively. So that's where it starts. But there are players, a number of players, who do not want to see the human element removed, and it would not be with a challenge system. It seems to me a challenge system is something that a lot of players, younger players, have grown up with in the minor leagues now. They're accustomed to it. And it would give the sport the ability to correct the egregious calls. Now, the zone is going to be different, and that's a problem. But on balance, we know this is coming. Baseball has the right to implement it, and I believe players will get used to it relatively quickly.
All right. Well, we want to definitely say thank you to everybody on ChatbCC as well as YouTube for participating in Grillin Ken. Always great to be able to ask Ken these questions. And thanks for watching, guys. Foul Territory is next. AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz, and of course, Scott Braun will host Foul. Hunter Dobbins, Tyler Kepner, and Sal Frelick also join those guys. Dodgers Territory with myself and Clint Pacias follows. And you will see Ken this weekend, Fox, Red Sox, and the New York Yankees. Ken, thanks so much. We'll see you on Monday.
Alanna, thank you.